Yep. All right, Reagan, let's transition to the Minnesota Vikings. Coming off a 7-10 season, roster looks a little bit better. No more Kirk Cousins. Win total 6.5. Some key losses: Kirk Cousins, Danielle Hunter, Marcus Davenport, Jordan Hicks, Alexander Madison, and Josh Dobbs. Some additions: Jonathan Grenard gave him a big deal. Andrew Van Ginkel, underrated pass rusher. Sam Darnold, the new QB1. Aaron Jones, Shaq Griffin, and Stephon Gilmore. Sharp is predicting the 5th most difficult schedule for the Vikings this year. We highlighted earlier, Reagan. They got a gauntlet. Tough look for the Vikings to start the season. What is their record going to be?
Yeah, I got them going 5-12. I'm not bought in at all. I think their options are still viable for fantasy. I think it is better for Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, Jones with Darnold at quarterback versus JJ. But the schedule's tough. The NFC North just got a hell of a lot better. We expect the Packers to be way better. The Lions are going to be even better, and the Bears are going to be better. So those 6 tough games right there. I mean, I highlighted earlier in the podcast, they got to play the Jets and Falcons, Cardinals. We think they're all going to be better, and they still got playoffs teams like the 49ers. So it's just a gauntlet of a schedule. They got a lot of toss-up games. I mean, I'm just really not buying into it. I think the defense still has a lot of holes. I mean, I'm happy they went out and got Dallas Turner. He is the shoo-in for the biggest impact for the offense there. I mean, they outside of those two, they really didn't draft any key players I see having a big impact in year one. I mean, it sucks we won't get to see JJ. But this is kind of one of those teams that's going to struggle a lot for the NFL, but they'll be a gold mine for fantasy because I think they're going to be trailing in most of their games. And they're a team I'm going to be fading most weeks. It's probably not week 1 just because, Sam Darnold's that guy. But now we'll see. But I actually think, like, after going over the schedule and what Austin brought up before, and I know Dave kind of made some points earlier in the NFC East podcast about Washington having the worst record, but I do think they're sneaky Minnesota to have the worst record in the league.
That would be crazy. And you mentioned where it's not a draft class that should have a ton of impact. They moved up for Dallas Turner. They gave a lot of picks. They jumped up 1 spot for McCarthy. They were really aggressive. And next year, they're without their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th round picks, which is crazy. So they might not be good next year either if McCarthy doesn't come back and, after a redshirt year and be that guy that they selected 10th overall. I do understand why they moved on from Kirk Cousins, though. Given his age at 35, his production has gradually slipped the last 3 years as a starter in Minnesota, and they only won 1 playoff game with him since 2018. Like, they were kind of stuck in that quarterback purgatory where why give a guy coming off the Achilles $160 million over 4 years and top that deal that Atlanta gave him? Atlanta was desperate for a quarterback. They've been, ever since Matt Ryan left, they've just really have struggled there. So I agree with their team building philosophy of not paying Kirk. It just means this year they're going to struggle. They're not going to be on that same level. I have them at 6-11. Not just 1 game better than what you have. I think O'Connell's a good coach, and I think the offense will still be productive under him with Sam Darnold at the helm. But this is just a clear bottom team in the division for me because it seems like every other team has trended upwards in terms of talent, while Minnesota has trended downwards. Like, you could say all of the 3 teams in this division, I think, have gotten better on paper from last year, where I think Minnesota's gotten worse.
Plus 1,100 as well.
Plus 1,100 for a worst record in the league?
Yep.
What does that rank?
That's now, tied for 6th with Washington. It's New England at plus 320, Denver at plus 550, Panthers at plus 650, Titans at plus 800, and then Drock's Giants at plus 1,000.
Okay. I do like the offensive talent, though. The offensive line's legit. Brian O'Neill was first in ESPN's pass block win rate last year amongst all right tackles, and Darrisaw's an absolute stud, top 5 left tackle in the league.
He is a stud.
He was PFF's 5th best pass blocking tackle last year, too. So having those 2 anchors to protect Darnold, because Darnold really struggles under pressure, that's huge. As a unit, they were 3rd in pass block win rate, 19th in run block win rate. So a solid pass protection will be huge for Sam Darnold, and for fantasy purposes, like you mentioned, Reagan, I think they'll be trailing a lot. And when Hawkinson comes back, he'll be really viable again. Addison and Jefferson should hopefully get a lot of targets. Addison had 70 catches for 911 yards and 10 touchdowns last year. I think the touchdowns are going to go down this year. Wasn't as productive with Jettas in the lineup, but it is a solid core. And Aaron Jones ran for 226 and 3 touchdowns in 2 playoff games last year, coming back from the injury. So although he missed time, he still shows he has a lot left in the tank at 29 years old. So, I mean, defensively, Flores did turn this defense around because it was absolutely terrible. And they were like pretty respectable last year. Their front is just bad. They lost their guy in Daniil Hunter. And although Jonathan Grenard had a career year last year with 12.5 sacks, that was on a much better Houston defensive line. Ginkel only had 6 sacks, but he was 10th in the league in pressure rate, so it's solid. Jonathan Bullard was good against the run. Harrison Phillips is a beast against the run in the interior. So, I mean, they're a better team against the run. But, yeah, I don't love their secondary. Byron Murphy wasn't great last year. Harrison Smith is going his 13th season, so at some point it's going to catch up to him. Although I think Flores is a really good defensive coordinator. I don't love the talent that's on the defense right now. And I don't. Sam Darnold just does not give a high ceiling for this team. So ultimately, 6-11. I think they're clearly the worst team in this division.
Yeah, and I'm honestly with the Vikings too. Wow, my mic, does it sound a little different now?
It sounds really good.
Yeah, I guess my audio was kind of lower. Has it been hard to hear me all pod or not too bad?
No, you've been fine, but it just got really, really good.
Yeah. So those of you listening in the car, you're welcome.
Really.
Yeah, that's a boom. But yeah, anyway, another guy that I would target late in your fantasy drafts, Ty Chandler. If Aaron Jones is going to be the guy, but he's a guy that's dealt with injuries over his career. I don't know if he's ever played a full season at this point. Ty Chandler was the lead guy down the stretch because the Alexander Madison experience did not work out. So he's a guy I would definitely target in best ball late, scoop him up in dynasty, and target him late in redraft. I mean,
love
even
that
if
call.
If you have Aaron Jones, he should be your handcuff.
Yeah, I would definitely
if you
get that
don't,
handcuff.
I would still get him because he may even be like a flex option. I mean, I don't know for certain that Aaron Jones is just going to be the main guy without Ty Chandler being involved. Like he proved last year,
he's solid.
He has some juice. He deserves to be on the field. So I think it might be more of a 60-40 Aaron Jones split, but I definitely think Ty Chandler will be heavily involved. And if Jones is to miss time, I mean, he's a guy that could be a top 12 running back on any given week for fantasy.
Yeah, I love that. He was very instrumental in my path to a championship last year. I had Ty Chandler at flex in the playoffs. It was huge for me. So I love that call, Reagan. You're MVP for the Minnesota Vikings.
I mean, I'm just going to go with the easy pick. It's Jetta's. I mean, he's obviously a guy that's been an all-pro, a guy that's led the league in receiving before, a guy who debatable the best receiver in the league. So, yeah, it's Justin Jefferson. Why overthink it here?
Jetta's over 1,000 yards in 10 games last year. It is Justin Jefferson.
Which is
X
crazy.
Factor. It's got to be Sammy D, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I think you could make a case for Jonathan Grenard too. I mean, he's coming over. He's got big shoes to fill for Daniil Hunter. Obviously, Daniil Hunter, I believe, had 15, 16 sacks last year, so that's a lot of sacks to lose. They went younger and paid him, so I could say he could be their X factor too. That he stabilizes the defense with being able to get pressure with being paired with Dallas Turner. Really prove why they went out and gave him that big contract. But yeah, I would say Sam Darnold's obviously the biggest X factor, but you can make a case for Grenard as well.
I like that. You could even make a case for Dallas Turner living up to that draft status. They moved up to get him, and they need help at pass rusher. So you can make a case for either edge rusher. Rookie of the year, I mean, it's got to be Turner.
Anyone but Dallas Turner.
Yeah, it's the only guy that seems like he's going to get a path to starting playing time right away with McCarthy out. So it's Dallas Turner, who was 7th amongst all edge rushers in Power 5 last year in pressure rate. Stepped in for Will Anderson and was good. He was good at Alabama.
Don't count out the former Alabama kicker, Will Reichard. I mean, he could be a fantasy sleeper. Could win some championships. But yeah, no, this offense isn't going to be high-powered enough to actually do it. And at that point, when they are putting up production, I don't think they're going to be kicking field goals when they're down 3 touchdowns in a game.
D-Boy,
I got for 2.
Yeah, then they're going to go for 2. D-Boy, I got Jonathan Grenard. 12.5 sacks last year. He's got to be a double-digit sack guy for this defense to be even an average unit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, wait, you said Jonathan Grenard as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's my X factor. It's either him or Turner, between the two of them on the edge. I mean, I'm hoping big things. I mean, they're going to be a big part of it. If one of them's to miss time, it's going to get ugly for this defense real quick. But yeah, I'll go with Grenard as well. Follow the money and the production.
Sound the horns. Drock, what is your lock?
I'm not going to lie. Can I go back one team? Because I do have another pretty good pick for The Bears. I didn't realize this was available, but I'm seeing it.
Okay.
DJ Moore, O'Dunes, Keenan Allen, and Cole Kmet to each have 5+ receiving touchdowns at plus 2,000. Maybe you reach, but 5 for each. I like it. Sprinkle it.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to need trainer Drock out there to make sure nobody gets injured. So as long as you want to put on your trainer hat and make sure they come out there with your bucket hat, make sure everyone's good, massaging their ankles, massaging whatever they need, keep them healthy. Yeah, I mean, the value's sick. I would have thought it was going to be like plus 100 or some shit. So plus 2,000 is kind of crazy. You're really just betting against injuries at that part. Because I could see Caleb throwing 30 touchdowns this year, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see Cole Kmet finishing with 4 touchdowns, and that's what loses it. Or if Odunze doesn't get on the field enough. But yeah, I mean, I like that at plus 2,000 because I think DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, if they're healthy, which Keenan Allen has struggled with injuries, but if they're healthy, they both should certainly get 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. What about the Vikings? While we got you here.
Yeah. JJ to score 15+ receiving touchdowns at plus 1,000.
It's 15 touchdowns.
Yeah,
I hate that. Just because that's just so much faith in Sam Darnold.
I was about to say, saying it out loud didn't feel as exciting for Drock. I think he needs to go back and do some more research.
No. You take your pick. You can take it. Like, I'm not going to always – I can't suck you off every time you make a pick. Sometimes I'm going to disagree with you, and this time I do. I mean, the best case for that one is if Slanging that thing comes in because he's going to freaking throw that. He's going to throw that thing. So, I mean, I don't hate it at all. It's just like –
I hate it. I hate it.
All right, we're done.
Drock, I understand that it's plus 1,000 odds, so it's a juicy pick, but Jettis has never eclipsed 10 receiving touchdowns in a season. So and that's what Kirk Cousins. So with Sam Darnold,
no. Take what you want, dude. It's Drock's lock. It ain't Ray Gun's locks. It ain't Tong's Pong lock. It ain't our locks. It's the Drock's lock show, baby. So take what you want because. If you don't take it because of us, like listening to us, because we think we're the big brain guys, and then it hits, you're going to be all up in our grill. So trust your gut. I always have been one to believe in trust your gut, and that's what your gut's telling you. That's the Drock's lock.
I will say DraftKings has been offering some team specials, so that's where I'm kind of snagging some of these locks. And the Vikings, like every single team has the odds to score 1 touchdown every single game. And the Vikings have the highest odds at plus 275. So that's saying something right there about the Vikings this year. So it kind of counterfeits
that they'll let up a touchdown every game?
No. The Vikings score 1 touchdown every single regular season game, and they have the highest odds out of all the teams.
Oh, I wouldn't touch that.
Plus 275. So
there's totally going to be a game where they fucking put up 0. 100%.
Yeah,
100%. I'll take that 49ers game screams 33-0 Niners.
Yeah, I mean, with that schedule, I wouldn't touch that either.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, Drock. Trust your gut. Trust your gut, kid. Got you this far.
Trust your gut.